Good morning and welcome to Setting the Pace with Peardeck. Today's session is sponsored by the Technology Training Team with support from the ESSA in the Title I office. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If you are having any difficulties hearing the speaker, you may be having some issues with your audio. On the bottom of the screen, next to the red button with the X, there should be 3 small dots. If you click on those 3 dots, you can switch your audio connection to use your phone if need be. Okay. Also, during today's session, you will not be able to enter chat messages. We will, however, be putting some links in through our chat, links that you'll be clicking on throughout the presentation. So please watch for some pop-up chats. Again, you will not be using chat yourself. Today, we will be using the Q&A feature. To access the Q&A feature, we can shift the screen here. Thank you. Okay, to access the Q&A feature today, you will look at again at the bottom of your screen. In the far right corner, you'll see 3 dots next to the word chat. Click on that and you will be able to pull up the Q&A screen. And please, today we're asking that you only use this feature to ask questions about today's presentation. This is not a chat box. We're trying really hard to monitor this Q&A for you to answer questions that are pertinent to today's presentation. If you are interested in posting a question, please take a moment to review the questions that are there. Your question may already have been answered, but if not, please feel free to post it and we will do our best to respond. There are a lot of people on this call today and we appreciate your participation. We also appreciate your cooperation with this. All right. Please note that today's session is being recorded. And as a recorded session, it will be posted on the T3 website so that you can review it later. So if you miss something, it's okay. You'll be able to access this recorded session at a later date. All right. Today, we'd like to also introduce you to the team that's working with you. Helping to put together this presentation was Christopher Assing, who is not here today. But today we do have the fabulous Tia Simmons, the outstanding Sarah Thomas, and the awesome Gina Tuzo from the T3 office. I am Nancy Benning from the Title III department. Title I department. Long day. Thank you. And Gina, I believe you're ready to start.
I am. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Nancy, and welcome everyone to Setting the Pace with Peardeck. Today's session is a session focused on engagement and pacing using Peardeck. So if you need sort of beginning introductory stuff for how to use Peardeck, you can go to our T3 website where you'll find a wealth of resources, including our introductory webinar for getting started with Peardeck. Okay, so today we're not going to show you how to make slides and how to download the extension. We're going to start right off with looking at using Peardeck to engage your students and to control the pacing of your lesson. And to do that today, we are going to take a look at the teacher-paced mode. Talk about some scenarios for when you would want to use the teacher-paced mode. Then we'll look at in your live sessions, when you're in teacher-paced mode, we'll take a look at switching over to student-paced mode, some scenarios when you might want to do that as well. And then we'll consider the student-paced mode by itself. What are some scenarios when you might want to just use the student-paced mode with your students? And then we'll look at some templates that are available through Peardeck to get us started. So you're going to see several things on my screen today. You might notice that I have a couple of other windows open. And we're going to be showing multiple screens, okay? So this would best be viewed in full screen mode because we are going to be using multiple screens here, all right? So let's talk about teacher-paced mode. Teacher-paced mode in Peardeck is great for providing direct instruction, whether it's whole group or small group, all right? It's also good for introducing new topics or concepts to students during a live lesson. So you can give students interactivity in the Peardeck as they're being introduced to something brand new, right? So those traditional things that we do with maybe KWL charts and things of that nature, you can do right in Peardeck, and it's perfect for that. And then when you want to make sure that students are in the same place at the same time, so as you're going through the lesson, maybe there's a place where you want to pause and have some discussion time, right? The Peardeck teacher-paced mode is perfect for doing all of those things. So let's jump in and take a look. So I am going to bring up my Peardeck session here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to make this other window a bit smaller. So here on the left-hand side, give me just 1 second. I want to get it right so that we can still see the captions there up top. Okay, great. So on the left-hand side, what you see here is my teacher Peardeck session, okay? So I have started the Peardeck session in teacher-paced mode. You'll notice at the bottom of this window, I have my teacher tools here, and I'm ready to begin. On the right-hand side of my screen, you will see that I am signed in as a student, and it looks slightly different. The toolbar at the bottom for the student screen doesn't have any controls except for the immersive reader, that little book and speaker icon in the bottom right-hand side is the immersive reader, and that comes in with Peardeck free. You don't have to do anything special. It's an awesome accessibility tool that's already included when you use Peardeck, all right? So I'll introduce the lesson. Hey students, today we're going to learn about polygons. Does anybody know what a polygon is? Have you heard of it before? What do you think it might be? So I can generate some discussion with my students and then begin my slides, right? So I can say, okay, students, here we're going to see, we're going to watch a video of this introduction to polygons, and on the right hand side of your screen, I want you to take notes while you're listening, okay? So here on the student screen, I have the option to take notes. So as we're listening to the video, I can go ahead and make my notes. So I'll just add a few notes. Okay. And I can continue to do that. Each student can continue to do that while this slide is up, okay? Now, let's say as the teacher, though, I may want to set a limit on how much time the students spend on that particular task. One of the cool controls that we have here on the right-hand side is the lock screen feature. So I can click that at any point in the lesson, and you'll notice that on the right-hand side, our student screen has now disabled. They can't interact with it anymore. It lets them know the teacher has I can't click in here and type. I can't interact with it. So my answers are there. And I might do that for a number of reasons as the teacher. I might say, oh, students, I'm noticing in some of the responses, some people say that polygons can have curvy lines, and some people are saying they cannot have curvy lines. Let's pause right here and talk about it. And so I can lock the screens, have the discussion, and then say, okay, now that we've had a chance to think about it a little more and discuss it, I'm going to let you go back to your slide and make any adjustments to your notes. So I can just click the unlock and boom, the students are right back in and they're able to access it, which I think is a really great feature. One of the other cool things I can do is you'll notice that when I move the slide, the student slides move. They cannot go forward and back. I am in control of that. So for this particular question, maybe I want students to answer and I don't want them to spend too much time. I actually want to have a time limit for that. For that lock screen icon, you'll notice a little triangle in the top right-hand corner of that. If I click on that, I'm sorry, let's get it to work here. It's going to give me some timer options. So I can actually choose one of these time amounts, 30 seconds, 1 minute, or 3 minutes. And when I select that, it's going to put a countdown timer on the slide for the students to let them know how long they have to select or complete their response. So I'll tell the students, okay, we need to keep moving. So you have about 15 more seconds to mark your answer and identify which of those shapes is not a polygon. Which one is not a polygon? So the student is able to answer, and then you'll notice after that, it's going to lock the screen. And again, I can see on the student side what I've chosen as my answer, but I'm not able to change it, all right? So then as the teacher, if I don't want them to be able to change that answer, I can click to the next slide and it's actually showing the responses on the next slide. So let me get rid of that. You'll notice when I click to the next slide, it unlocked for students and they were able to access the next slide. So that prevents them from changing their answer on the previous slide, but still allows them to move forward in student or in teacher-paced mode. Okay, so let's take a look at those responses that were just on the screen. That's another really cool feature that I love with Peardeck. So when I show the responses, I actually prefer in the top left-hand corner is where you find the layout options. And I really love to use this overlaid layout. It puts all of their answers on one screen for me so I can see all the different places that the dots have been moved to. And when it's in real time, you'll actually see these dots moving around on your screen as well. So this can quickly let me know, ooh, I think I still have a number of students that are not quite sure what a polygon is. So as a teacher, that lets me know maybe I need to go back to another lesson. So I can go back a few slides and say, okay, students, it seems like we might still be confused. Let's listen to the video again. And I want you to find the 3 important characteristics, the 3 rules that we're going to use to identify polygons. So I can go back to any slide I need to in my presentation. All right. So that is sort of a quick look at the teacher-paced mode, and it's really useful and probably what you're most familiar with if you're already using Peardeck, okay? Let's talk about combining teacher-paced modes with student-paced mode. So as you're going through your lesson, there may be a point in time where you're ready to switch from whole group instruction to rotations or small groups, or even independent work or any combination thereof, right? This is something we do all the time. That's easy to do, and Peardeck allows you to do that, which we're going to take a look at. You might also notice in a lesson that students have a better understanding than maybe you anticipated, and perhaps you're ready to release them for independent work. You can do that as well. So let's jump back over into that teacher side and see how we do that. So here at the bottom of my teacher controls, what I'm actually going to do is the 3 dots all the way to the left next to where it says end. I'm going to click on the 3 dots. When I do, I see the option here to turn on student-paced mode. All right. And it's going to give me a warning that says, hey, you're turning on student-paced mode. So now students are going to be able to go forward and backward and address any of the prompts on the slides as they like. And I'm going to say, all right, let's do it, right? So now it is in student-paced mode. So you'll notice when I advance the teacher slide, it no longer advances for the students. You'll notice on the student side here on the right, I now have back and forward buttons so I can go to any slide in the presentation that I want. All right. I'm free to go forward and back as I like to address questions. All right. Now, let's say, actually, what we're going to do right now is we are going to post this link for you in the chat so that you can access this student-paced mode right now. So I've put that into the chat for you. So you can go ahead and connect to this student-paced session right now. Now, it's not going to require you to log in. That is not what I would normally do with my students. When I use Peardeck, I require them to log in with their Gmail accounts because that allows them, that allows me to access their work and to provide feedback as well as provide the takeaways at the end of the session. That only happens when we require the email in the settings, and that is something you can find out how to do in your resources and available videos that are on the T3 website. For today, I have turned off the email verification so that everyone can join in. So as a reminder, you're going to use the forward and back buttons to navigate through the Peardeck presentation. And also any place that you might see a little headphone icon would be someplace where we have put audio into the slide, which is another great option that you can now do in Peardeck. You can add audio. So I can record myself reading the directions and put that right in the slide for students if I want. So we're going to set a timer and give you about 2 minutes to play around with that student experience for yourself. Click the link, join the session, and check out some of the fun interactivity that you can do with your students using Peardeck in student-paced mode. All right, don't mean to startle anyone, but that is a quick 2 minutes. It does go by very quickly. So hopefully you had a chance to take a look at that and check out that student-paced mode, all right? Now, as the teacher, when I'm ready to bring the class back together toward the end of the lesson, I can turn off student-paced mode. And you'll notice that, oh, was it already ended? Did I not have it on? No, I did. Okay, so I've turned off student-paced mode now, and that puts me back in control. So now when I change the slides, you'll notice that the student slides are changing again. So it's really easy to just use those three dots and switch back and forth between the two modes. You can do this at any point. So you can turn on the student pace mode and set a timer and say, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to complete this activity on this slide. This is the only slide you need to work on, and I'll give you the 5 minutes. And then when the 5 minutes is up, you just come back to your teacher tools here and stop student paced mode. All right, really easy. So let's jump back into our presentation and take a look at some scenarios. For using student-paced mode by itself, you don't always have to toggle back and forth between the two. You can create lessons and resources and materials for students to go through independently. I love to do this for building background and flipped learning. So if you're not familiar with flipped learning, that is where you kind of flip the classroom experience, and the things that you would do with the instruction, you record your direct instruction for students and they access that and watch the video, access the resources, do whatever those tasks are prior to your lesson. And then when you're in your lesson, you can move on to application and higher order tasks, having set that background with students. So this Polygon lesson was created just for that. I made this for a 4th grade class that was getting ready to learn about polygons. And so I wanted to make sure they had all the backgrounds that they needed. You see, it included videos. After the initial video, there was a quick assessment to see if they could figure out which things were and were not polygons. Then we got into more specifics with another video about naming polygons, then a little application where I asked them to draw and name polygons, as well as some other things in the presentation. So I gave this to the students before I introduced the unit on polygons to build background. And it's a great way to use the student-paced mode. All right, so when they had independent work, they just clicked the student-paced link and signed in. And I, as the teacher, was able to see all of their work in Peardeck. It's also great for if a student misses class, right? If you're using Peardeck regularly, and you're delivering your lessons using Peardeck, it's really easy to turn on student-paced mode and give the link to a student that was absent and say, all right, so here's what we covered yesterday. You can go through this Peardeck presentation. If you need help, please let me know, right? And it's also good for independent practice. You can actually create quick, short, relatively short activities for students to do to reinforce content or for additional practice. And then you can assign those to specific students, specific groups of students in Google Classroom. So lots of great ways to use Peardeck to help us with student engagement and pacing. And so here we're just showing you one more time how to toggle back and forth on that teacher tools, the teacher toolbar there, where to find that to turn student paced mode on and off. And I believe at this point, we're going to have Sarah, who will take us through some tips and resources.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're glad to have you here learning with us. So we're going to talk about a few tips when using student-paced mode. So as Gina just demonstrated, then you can turn on student-paced mode relatively easily. When we were coming up with a session and planning out our slides, then we were kind of joking around a little bit about the standardized test that we would take, out of the booklets, and there would be a stop sign when you knew that you were ready to stop for that section. That would be at the bottom of the page. So if you take this concept, you can actually apply it to your Peardeck slides when you're using self-paced mode. Let's say that you are in a session with students in one of your Zoom classes or what have you. and you want them to do up to a certain slide on student pace mode, and you want them to stop so that you can come back and debrief and talk about it. So why not put maybe a stop sign on that slide, and that way they would know to stop there, or maybe an arrow to keep going, you know. So I'm sure I'm bringing back lots of memories for all of us here who have taken standardized tests. In addition, you might want to make use of the add audio feature, and you can use that to provide examples and audible directions. So if you want to give your students more context as to what they are supposed to do, then the add audio feature is great. Also, you would probably want to vary your interactive slide types so that students, they don't get bored of, you know, a particular slide type. Like, you don't want to have a presentation with all draggable, because that would get kind of boring and dry. So definitely we would recommend that you switch different types of slides so that students have a variety and they are they're on their toes. All right. In addition, you can always bring in external resources such as videos, websites, or other resources so that students can interact with the content. So this is fantastic. So, you know, Peardeck can really help them to be engaged in some lessons. So on the next slide, we are going to tell you about a couple of different samples. So on the left-hand side, you see pretty much a GIF of what Gina just shared and what you experienced by doing the student view self-paced session. And, you know, it kind of goes through and clicks on everything for you, and you see how it looks on the student side, but you just experienced that. So let's talk more about another student paced lesson. On the right-hand side, you have an example of one that was created for you, and you can kind of click through. It is in student pace mode, so very meta. You are doing a student pace session about student pacing, and it shows you different slide types that you can look into. So as you click through, then you'll see there's a draggable slide, you know, and this will give you some ideas as you are creating your own. In addition, you know, there's a text type slide right there. So all of this will kind of give you more information or more of an experience as the student pace mode so that you can experience it and you can better design it for your own students. Okay, so whenever you get a chance to explore that, that is on slide 21. And we will have all of these resources available to you in the very near future. All right, so next up, we're going to talk a little bit about templates. So you can add some new prompts to your live lessons. So all you want to do is look at the teacher toolbar, and you'll see a button that says new question. And then what you'll do is that you will choose a template or use your existing slide to insert a new prompt. So that works out very, very nicely. So you'll see there that they are pre-made prompts, and you can just kind of select the one you want and put it on in there. All right.
Hey,
So,
Sarah, I knew I was
hey.
forgetting something.
All
That I
right.
forgot to show that. So I am going to jump back over really quickly. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but let's
That
show
was
them
totally
what that
fine.
looks like.
Okay.
So here, thank you. Here is my teacher paced lesson that I have going. And when I'm ready to insert a new prompt, all I have to do is go ahead and click on the toolbar in the bottom right-hand side. It says new prompt. When I do that, it's going to ask me what type of prompt I want. And as Sarah mentioned, lots of really awesome templates come up quickly and easily for common things that I may be using. So we have some text prompts and a draggable prompt for the beginning of the lesson, maybe something during the lesson or something at the end of the lesson, right? So I'm able to just click one of those, it will insert it automatically, and they're able to go through and respond to that right now. I also have the option, if I click the arrows to the left and right, to see more prompts. So if I just want to ask an open-ended question that students can type a text response to, I could click this one and ask them the question verbally and have them respond, right? I can choose any of the ones here, or if I click on the arrow on the right-hand side, it's actually going to show me my current slide, which is my own slide that I've created, right? And I can choose to make it one of these 4 interactive types: draggable, number response, drawing, or text response. The great thing about this is when you're using both teacher paced mode and mode together, what is really helpful for me is I will build slides towards the end of my lesson where I ask students those questions that are application or checks for understanding, exit ticket type things, but I don't make them editable as a Peardeck slide yet. I wait until we're in this portion when I've already turned on, I've gone from teacher paced, turned on student paced, turned it off and brought them back together whole class. And then I can actually use this new prompt to take those existing slides I've already built with the content and make them interactive. So when the student paced mode was on, students could actually go to the slide and they could see it, but it wasn't interactive. And this is really cool because it allows students to have think time. It allows them to consider what the task is and go back through all of the slides in the lesson to try to find the answer or any additional support that they may need to be able to respond to that prompt when I make it live. So I really love this ability to put these things in kind of on the fly, if you will, or midstream in the lesson, at the end of the lesson. It's a really, really cool feature. All right. So just giving you one more look on that teacher side, right there next to the lock screen on the right, you just click on new prompt. All right. Thank you for that quick little interruption there, Sarah, so I could show that to them live. Back to you. Thank you.
All right, cool beans. All right, thank you so much for that, Gina. So now what we're going to take a look into are different resources to get you going, all right, or to level you up, I should say. But speaking of getting you going, if you have not yet used Peardeck, and if this might be your very first exposure, then we would highly recommend that you visit our T3 website. I'm going to go ahead and type that into the chat, and look under the digital tools page and find the Peardeck page. And there you will have tutorials to get you started and to get you rolling when it comes to Peardeck. So definitely check that out. But if you're ready to level up, so if you've already been using this, you know, you have your feet wet, then there are some great resources here. So you can first check out the help videos. So in the help videos, they have lots and lots of Peardeck help videos for everything that you can think of. So all the way from making a Peardeck from scratch. I'm seeing some questions about how do you start, you know, how do you make a Peardeck? How do you, you know, get everything from Google Slides and stuff like that. So there's a video right there for it. How to add questions, how to use a slide library, more on student pace mode, etc., etc. There are dozens of videos here that can help you through most scenarios that you may have questions about. In addition, Peardeck has a Peardeck Orchard. So this gives you even more things that you can look into to help you get leveled up, including templates that you can use. You can also subscribe to different resources they have available. But right now on the template site, then you see like a preview of what the templates look like, and you can download them, tweak them, use them with your students. So this is fantastic. All right. So going back, then we will see that there is also an ebook. So if you want even more hands-on application and you want to go deeper in your understanding of Peardeck, then you can sign up to get this Peardeck How-To Handbook. And they have included a section on remote and asynchronous learning, which is exactly what we're doing right now, remote learning. So definitely check out everything that you can do with Peardeck, and they've included that for you in the ebook. So these are all linked to slide number 24. And last and not least, we are going to go ahead and close out with a few reminders. Once again, please visit us at bit.ly T3PGCPS. So as mentioned before, you can find out a lot about Peardeck and our other interactive tools that we can use with students under our digital resources link. So you can find tutorials, guides, walkthroughs. For some tools, even guides for your students and their parents. So definitely check that out. You can also, on our About Us page, find out who the trainer is assigned to your school from T3. So if you have any general questions about anything instructional technology related, then you can find out whoever's assigned to your school, and that person will be able to help answer some of your questions. And yeah, so just taking a look at the middle of the page. Just taking a look at it's okay. It is okay. Taking a look at the middle of the page, just a few reminders about attendance. So it's going to be captured automatically. Wait a little while for it to show up in my PPS because there's another office that is handling that. But you know, if you logged into WebEx, then your information should be good to go. There is also, if you look in the chat and scroll all the way up, then you'll see an email address. If you were not able to log in with your PGCPS email, then there'll be directions there. All right. In addition, all of our sessions today are being recorded, and they will be posted on our website, on our webinar recordings page. So that's another feature of our T3 website. Also, we have similar sessions going on all year. So it's not just these systemic PD days. We have things going on most days out of the year. So if you want to find the monthly schedule, is placed on our website on the upcoming trainings page. Speaking of that, we also have drop-in hours for various tools, Wednesday 2 to 3. So you can see what the tool of the week is by going to our upcoming trainings page. And this is on our T3 website. As you can see at the top and bottom of the page, bit.ly/T3PGCPS. If you are a Twitter person, then we are simply at T3PGCPS. All right. And last but not least, if you have any questions specifically about the content of the session, I'll say that one more time. If you have any questions specifically about the content of the session, then here is all of our contact information right here. So you can feel free to reach out to any of us about that. We definitely thank you so much for your time and for your participation. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to my colleagues in case there are any parting thoughts that we want to share.
Thanks, Sarah. Gina, before you jump in, I would just like to share, if you have additional questions about specific features that we showed today, please find your T3 trainer that's assigned to your school. That is what we're here for. We would love to help you maximize your use of Peardeck, even to provide some instructional examples, and we have office hours. So please constantly check back on that T3 website. We are adding additional resources as the year continues, as distance learning continues. And again, feel free to contact your T3 trainer. They are a great wealth and resource to answer some of those specific questions, especially if you did not get a chance to have that question answered today. If you need to figure out who they are, like Tia, I hear you, but I don't know who they are. Gina has on the screen our T3 website there on the right, the screen with the green bar. If you hover on the home menu and select About Us, there you see the picture of all of our teammates, and you can simply click on the drop-down arrow to see which schools are assigned to those individuals, to see if they are the T3 person assigned for your school. So please feel free to reach out to them. We are here to support you in any way that we can. I also just want to reiterate for Sarah that there is no link for attendance, no link for registration. If you logged in with your PGCPS credentials, then you are good to go, and your attendance will be counted. If you did not, or suspect that you did not, we will put directions in the chat in a moment on what you need to do. But any questions about attendance, please contact the Office of Professional Learning and Leadership. Gina, Nancy, Sarah, I'm not sure if there's anything else that we need for the good of the order.
Thank you so much, everyone, for all of those reminders and information from the team. We do want to tell you that we appreciate the work that you are doing. We know that you are doing everything you can, your very best every day for our students, and we greatly appreciate it. We know how busy you are, so thank you for joining us for this live session. We know that time is one of your most precious commodities, and we appreciate you spending it with us.
Agreed.
We hope that you found the session to be useful and informative, and we look forward to hearing from you individually in our emails soon if you need any additional support. Having said that, we are going to wait a few minutes just to address any more questions that you have before ending the session. So right now, if you still have a lingering question, you can put it in the Q&A. If you do not have any questions, we want to wish you a wonderful Friday, a happy and peaceful holiday break, and to please continue to stay safe and be the awesome, amazing teachers that we know that you are. Thank you so much.